Hey guys, what's up? Eddie Alhu here with KissAnalog.com. Today I just thought we'd do something a little different. Winter's coming, it's fall time, and my hot tub started developing a problem. It's only a couple years old. We've only been in the house for a couple years. But anyway, and kind of a move-in gift was the hot tub. And they had this concrete pad already set for it. Anyway, thing is, it stopped working. And we're gonna open up this panel and take a look, all right? So, now this is category 3 stuff. This is, heavy power, high current. This stuff's a little more serious. So, got the category 3 meter, got some rubber gloves, and if I really feel like it, I can put these guys over them. I even got glasses if I think I need them. We're gonna see if we can troubleshoot it without power, or at least how far we can get without power. So I got the panel all ready to come off. I'm gonna take it off and let's take a look. All right, I took the corners off and these 2 screws on the corner, and this thing should just pop off. All right. By the way, the breaker's turned off, so there's no power out here right now. Now, if you can see, there's 2 motors in this thing, a lot of cobwebs. I'm gonna have to vacuum this thing out. Looks like there's some characters living in here. So, I was just looking to see if they had the horsepower on this, but I don't see it. It says 230 volts. It's 12/3.5. So I think it's 12 amps to start, 3.5 to run. I'm going to bring the camera over, we're going to take a close-up. From there you might be able to see the starter capacitor. It's under that metal can. Alright, so the problem I have is when it turns on, it trips a breaker. And once it's been off for a while, I turn it on, I think I'm getting lucky, I think it cleared itself, but then after a few minutes of the motors running, it trips the breaker. So then I go to reset the breaker and trip it again, it trips immediately. So it made me think that maybe the motor is warming up, maybe it's getting flooded, maybe it's got a leak in it, but just looking at it, everything is so dry on both sides. I mean, it's just cobwebs, it's super dry. So if I had a leak, I think I'd see some drainage out here. So that's good. And this, like I said, a couple years old. And they do pump water. So the motors are spinning. So that means they work. If they had a serious fault, it wouldn't take that long. Now the capacitor maybe, but like I said, a couple years old, but the capacitor, it's possible that maybe it heats up, and I don't know. Okay, so just looking around a little bit, nothing seems obviously wrong out here. Now, I see underneath here is the ionizer. That seems to be okay too. I do notice this hose doesn't look connected well here. I'm gonna bring the camera a little closer. We're gonna take a closer look. Okay guys, brought you up close and hope you can see this, but I've loosen this guy up and it comes right off. So it's got a schematic inside, looks really nice and clean. That's awesome. This looks great. You know what, I'm gonna take a minute just to look at this and then I'm gonna bring you back, okay? Alright, so what I noticed, there's a board right here, and I'll zoom in on this, I'll give you a good picture of this, but there's a board right here, and then there's some elements off the board. One of them is this heater, which is this tube right here from this black collar, and it shows 2 sensors, which I see, and it shows 2 heating elements. And so I looked online real quick, and well, okay, first of all, I'll tell you what, troubleshooting process. First, kind of understand what happens, what trips a breaker. It tripped. Initially, it took a little while to trip. and then I turned right back on, it tripped right away. So I waited a while, actually I waited a day, and then I came out and tripped it again. It went on, the motors ran again, about 20 minutes maybe, and then it tripped, and then it tripped right away. So seemed pretty consistent. So when I took this panel out, the first thing I looked for is to make sure the motors are dry. I was afraid that they started leaking water and was, you know, shorting out or something. And you know, if anything, these things, they want to make sure you don't have leakage currents and stuff like that, you know, GFCI type stuff, so that they trip and you're safe. You know, you don't want current in your water. You only want water current, water eddies, not electron eddies. Or this eddy. This eddy in a hot tub is okay. Anyway, taking off this panel, you know, I mean, everything looks pretty new, and right away I see some corrosion down here on the water heater, and inside this tube there's a heating element that kind of loops. It's like it comes back here, and the two ends of it protrude up, and that's what we see. And so then what you do is you have this pipe, you put your heating element in, the two ends come up, and then you put the, a little washer and a nut, and you tighten it down. And I'm going to bring the camera so you can see what I see, okay? So I'll just show you one time. But yeah, that looks like a problem, okay? The other thing is I see, let me move this out of the way. All right, so you know, I'm going to bring the camera in nice and close. Here, let's do that, and then I'll talk about this, because then I can show you a nice close-up of what's going on. All right, guys. Now, from the close-up here, maybe you can see the corrosion right here. I'll bring the camera even closer. All right, guys. I think from there you can see what I'm talking about. You can see the corrosion here. This one doesn't look so great either, but see the white thing? That's like a ceramic seal between the metal and the electrode. And this one looks like it's broken. Probably, I'm guessing it's been corroding for the last 2 years. Probably worked long enough to get out of the factory and it's been going bad ever since. So I'm pretty sure that's a problem. But you know what? Check out, there's a high rupture fuse there, high capacity type HRC. Like we see that in some of the DVMs, multimeters. And here's another one here. And you want that where you have a possibility of large current. Class 2, stuff we do on our bench, the AC power in the house, that's not really, you know, many things you'll see will be glass fuse, right? Because these high rupture fuses are for things out here like these motors. So like this motor down here and the motor over on this side. So I think this one powers one motor and this one powers the other one, I believe. Look at the MOVs. See the blue guys in there? Those are MOVs. Because look at the input power. You can see the input power coming in. Big terminal block. MOVs. It looks like there's other tubs that have sound systems, all kinds of stuff where these other spade lugs are used. I didn't get all those kind of options because just more stuff's go wrong, right? I'm bringing out my sound. Anyway, this right here is a connector for that guy. And it's got some heavy wires. And it looks like I can just pull it out like that. So it just had a little release clip I pushed down and I could pull it out. And it's got some grease. They did a nice job, you know. I gotta say, they did a nice job putting the grease in there to keep the thing from corrosion, you know, from the contacts. Also, check out this. You see the big old ground wire? Look at the ground terminal over here. I'm gonna move the camera over there. You see that big ground terminal? All right, guys, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna show you the grounding in a minute, okay? Because I'm gonna have to move the camera a lot to do that. So for now, I was looking around and I see another glass fuse right back here. I see a glass fuse here, a couple there, and then these big HRC fuses. I got my meter. I'm going to put it in buzzer sound so you can hear it go off. Okay, you should be able to hear that because I got the amp probe here. Got it set into buzzer mode. This has a low frequency filter and has NCV. I might even use some of those out here once I turn power back on. Okay, let's check this fuse. Now, you know what? I'm gonna do this to show you guys. I've turned off the breakers, but it's always a good idea to verify your breakers actually turned off. I actually did that a moment ago, but I want to show you that I did that because before I pulled the camera back up, I want to see. It's a good idea just to check, make sure. And what I did is I came over here to my line inputs, and see, I've got a neutral and a black and a red. So from neutral to black, it's probably 120. From neutral to red, it's probably the other 120. And that's how they get the 240. Once I turn on power, I can measure that for you and kind of show you how to measure some of these things. I'm going to put it back into ohm mode and turn the beeper on. Yeah, you can hear that, right? Okay. The other thing, I want to point out something. Alright guys, a tip. When you use a multimeter and you put it in that continuity mode and you try to light fire sticks, you know, use your sticks like you're trying to light a fire. You know, you don't do continuity that way, right? So it's kind of ridiculous that I see so many reviews, people flicking the sticks together. I know what they're trying to do to show you how fast the meters are, but that's just a small part of continuity checking. I mean, who cares if it's fast or slow? If you touch it and if it takes a quarter of a second versus a tenth of a second, do you really care? But here, this is my main point. See that 0 ohms? You see that 3.6 ohms? Zero ohms. Okay, the thing is, oh look, there's another fuse right back here. Did you guys see that one? Okay, that's a 0 ohm. Where's the... See that one right there? So that fuse, because it has some ohms in it, it beeps at me just like the other ones did. But if that's all I cared about is hearing a beeper, you know, like a robot, like beep, 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 yeah, hey, I got a good beep, that's my continuity check. That doesn't tell you continuity. I mean, it tells you that you have continuity, but it doesn't tell you how good the continuity is. So a lot of meters, they'll range between 10 and 50 ohms where they're going to sound the buzzer. But you still might have some ohms, like we just saw, 3.5 ohms, right? When I see inside there, that fuse is a low current. That fuse is 0.3 amps. So, and it says slow blow. So those have some resistance in them because they have very low current. You know, like in meters when we have that voltage drop across the current sense resistor, that's what that's due to. What we call the burden voltage. All right, guys, something else I want to show you. I'm just curious, like if one of these are shorted to the housing and it looks open, it looks open. Another problem with continuity checking, guys, take off continuity, put it in ohms. Now check it. Look at that, 75k ohms. 75k. Now, I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know. I would think that these things should be high impedance to the heater, but I don't know. Now, between the two terminals, I have 14 ohms. So it's 14 ohms and 75k. I don't know what the ohms are. I need to look it up, but that's not, so once you take your ohms, if it's too low or too high, you know the heating element's bad. I don't know, it didn't tell me the range, so I'm gonna have to look it up. But 75K just seems, it seems like it should be higher to the chassis. It seems like it should be very high, like maybe even isolated. All right guys, I'm getting ready to turn on power, but I wanted to check, make sure all the plugs were seated really well. And actually this one was kind of coming loose. It was kind of pulled up a little bit. I thought this one might be pulled up, but it's not. The thing is once you you know, connect everything and you push things in and you start hooking up things out here, sometimes you pull on wires in it and you can pull them loose. So it's good to do a final check before you let this stuff go. Well, I see like connectors, it's not connected, but I guess I don't see any place to connect it though. I wonder if it's a test connector, because it has a connection to the board there. Oh, you know what? Let me look at my schematic. All right guys, you see the schematic here. It shows the two connectors on the board. This is the one that I'm looking at, and it comes up to the front. It comes up to the front panel display up here. So this one comes out, goes to this panel, and it doesn't say anything about this. So I'm kind of thinking this one might be a test connector or maybe a programming connector when they set it up. I'll just make sure it hangs over here on this side when I shut everything back up. In fact, I'm just gonna kind of push this guy back here right now. So everything looks seated. Everything looks good, okay? All right guys, what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to do a little ohm check here. I'm gonna do an ohm check on this ground. Now physically I can see the wires going down, but I'm just going down touching my motor down here, and that's good. That motor's grounded out really well. I'm going to the other motor. Okay, that one looks like it's grounded really well too. Okay, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the breaker and I'm going to power this thing on. The heater's disconnected. Everything else should be okay. I'm going to be standing back over there where I turn on my breaker, and I'm going to put this in AC volt mode. And I do have these motors running, so if it's noisy, we might get a chance to use this low filter noise thing. But I want to come up and measure the power coming in. If we have a lot of dirty power right here from the motors, it might be kind of cool. We can see if that filter does anything. All right, guys, I'm going to go turn on the power. My leg kind of fell asleep. It took me a minute. Okay, you might have heard me trip the breaker. I tripped it on purpose just to test it. It's always a good idea to test your breaker. Plus, especially since I've had a problem, want to make sure with the panel off that I'm, doing the right thing. Now, I'm going to look up on top to see if the lights came on. I think I heard a relay over here, but I wasn't sure. All right, so I do see the display on. So there is power on the panel. By the way, I brought safety glasses too. I think I mentioned that, right? All right, so what I'm going to do is go from neutral to one of the hots. Now that I'm sitting up on my knees, I can see it says hot, hot. So like I was saying before, it should be 120, 120. Let's see if that was right. Well, first of all, I wonder if this, you know what? Let's try this no contact voltage thing. Oops, I got it set it right there. Oh yeah. Yeah, wow, that no contact voltage thing, that's a safe way to get an initial check. Now the thing is, guys, if you don't hear a beep, don't believe it. Still check, okay? But now I know to expect some voltage. Okay, I got 122. Up here you can see 60 Hertz. I love these dual display meters. Okay, I'm going to go down the bottom terminal, 121.3. Alright, now when I go across the 2, I should see 240. 243.9. So, it looked clean, right? You know what? I'm going to put on that filter just for fun. It looks like it takes a minute long. Oh look, the voltage is a little bit different. 118. 118. Wow, that is. And you know what? You can see it count, right? It must be doing some averaging. Wow, look at that. That is interesting. Okay, let me turn that off. That is wild, guys. I like that. That's super cool. Did you hear that, guys? It just kicked on. I don't know if you can hear that. You know, that motor is actually not that loud. I had just turned off the camera to set up the max min, and then the motor kicked on when I was turning the camera on, so I'm not sure if you even heard that. I can feel the vibrations. Okay, 121.9. Can you see the little lightning thing up there? Okay, I think that's set for peak mode. Let's see what I see. Whoa, just turned off. Kind of scared me. Okay, okay, I guess I'm going to make this video too long if I'm screwing around out here. You know what? I'm going to turn on the jet so we can do a reading, okay? You'll hear the motor kick on. This is a 120.8, 120.9. Interesting, right? Okay, guys, just running it for a little while with both jets on. It seems like I'm going to let it run for a little longer to make sure that it doesn't trip. Then if it does not, then we'll know that it sees this crazy heater. And the other thing is the ozonator. I told you, you know, I looked down here before, but I want to show you guys the grounding and the ozonator. So I'm going to freehand the camera for a moment, okay? Alright guys, see that grounding terminal there? Both my hands are busy so I can't point, but you see the 3 ground wires coming out of that grounding strip right there, right? So now let me show you where that goes. Alright, I'm going to have to edit that. Anyway, it comes down here and it goes to that motor right there, okay? But look, it also comes across here and look where it ends up. Ends up on the other motor. So yeah, you got both motors grounded up here to the terminal block, so everything's solidly grounded. The other thing is, see the board up there? Down here, that's the ozonator. And see that single tube coming out of it? That connection right there on the one on the right side of that green deal, it was kind of loose. And when I pushed it on, it stuck on. Then I was going to pull it off to show you how it was loose, but now it's on tight, so I don't want to mess with it. But yeah, that thing's kind of loose, and it looked kind of dusty in the tube and discolored a little bit. But once the tub started running, that ozonator tube filled up with water. So I think it narrows it down to the heater, especially with that corrosion. Alright guys, well, it's starting to get late and I think we found the problem. I looked online on my phone out here, and the correct resistance is between 9 and 12 ohms. So we were seeing just above that. It says it can be as high as 20 ohms, but still the corrosion and the fact that I'm going to replace it because, yeah, it's got to be it, right? So, all right, and I mean, I let it run for a while. It didn't trip the breaker, so it looks like as long as the heater's not connected, it works. So yeah, seems like the heater's the culprit. So I'm gonna get a new heater and power it up. Now I'm kind of wondering if you guys want to see the install. I kind of don't know if I should post this video now or wait till I get the heater and show you the finished product. Didn't think that far ahead. All right, so anyway, I just wanted to come out here and figure out what the heck was wrong with this thing. All right, guys, I think there's gonna be I think I'm gonna have to fix it for you too, so I have to hold this video. All right, tell me if I made the right choice. All right, thanks for watching, guys, and thanks, Patreons. I guess I'll be doing another ending on this, so okay. Part 2 will be in a blink of an eye as far as this video goes, but I'll probably have to wait a day or two to get a heater. Amazon is great. My hands smell like rubber or latex or whatever those things are. Yeah, I was all ready to take it apart, put it back together. I thought, you know, I was pretty sure I was going to find something that needed replacing, but I had hopes. All right, we'll see you part 2. Intermission. Okay, guys, so I've removed the panel. I kind of had it temporarily covered, but through the magic of Amazon and video editing, I'm ready to install this. So I could have got just a heating element, but it didn't cost, you know, I thought if that had corroded or gone bad or whatever, maybe I should just replace the whole thing, and looks like I got exactly the right one. It's kind of funny because I ordered a different one because the brand name here said that someone had commented that they got the wrong one. So I got a slightly more expensive one. I thought it was going to be a better one, and it turned out to be exactly the one I have. So yeah, go figure. So I turned off power, but like I said, it's always a good idea to verify, make sure it is off. Okay, so make sure I had the right tools. 3/8 inch wrench. Okay, you know, it's funny because most of my stuff is metric these days. I live here in the States, and sometimes it's you know, sometimes it's in fractions of an inch and sometimes it's in millimeters. Alright, you know what? I'm going to clip this off. And so it's got a little protective thing here. And there's my sensors. And instead of white, I'll bring the camera up close, show you this as I get it installed. But instead of white ceramic, this one's brown. Okay, so there's some nuts on here that so I guess I'm going to reuse the nuts on top of this, and when I do that, I'm supposed to hold these nuts tight so they don't move, because that's the trick with this, is if you tighten this and it cranks on that ceramic, you break it. And I think that's what happened. And as I kind of played with this wrench on both of, as I just now, you know, kind of twist this, I could see the metal post right in the ceramic turning. So I think they've been cracked for some time. And it looks like there's two mounting points, two mounting studs. And so yeah, okay. Now, I'm not a plumber, because I don't like water because it leaks everywhere. But there's these little handles in here, which I showed you before, and I'll show you this, but you're supposed to, oh man, tell you what, that is tight. That's got some water pressure. This is a little, here, I'll bring camera, I'll free hold the camera. but there's a little plastic thing on the stem so that it couldn't come down if it wanted to. That's kind of a locks in place. Here, I'll show you. Okay guys, here's the panel, and there is the other, I don't know what they call these things, but these guys here, it's like a gate, you know, like an irrigation gate. You close the gate. This one's going down a little bit easier, but yeah, this part down here at the bottom, ugh. Alright, sorry. Kind of joked with the camera. I think I edited that out. But yeah, took some pressure to get that the last little bit, and then you crank it and it goes down here and it turns it off. So it's like closing the gate on your irrigation ditch. So I did that on both sides. Alright, the other thing I saw on this video was they talked about that clamping that hose right there. So I'm gonna have to go get a vice grip, and I'm gonna have to try to be creative on how I'm gonna do this. Alright guys, that was my solution. I used a couple big washers and a crescent wrench and pinched that hose off. I hope it works. Alright, the next step of this operation is to take the sensors loose. I just remembered they came with their own cables, so I don't need to remove them from the pipes. Alright, so this part doesn't look too hard because the connectors are right next to each other. The right sensor connects to the right port and the left one connects to the left port. Just kind of looking at how that's routed in there. Just kind of goes down under between these connectors here. So I'll just route it the same way. Alright, I have a feeling when I remove these, there's a fair, you know, a couple gallons of water maybe that's gonna flood down. So I don't know if I just let it happen or if I try to capture it. This pad kind of slopes this way, so the water should come rushing towards the camera. Yeah, I'm going to try to keep the motor clean. Alright guys, this might be kind of a goofy looking thing, but I'm going to try to guide the water. I'm going to try to guide the water so that it goes that way and away from my motor here, and yeah, we'll see if this works out. Looks a little silly, but what the heck. I thought the towel's just gonna get soaked, maybe. We'll see. Hopefully there's not a lot of water. It's kind of pulsating. It's not looking too bad so far. I don't know if I can, oh, there we go. Okay, this tube's kind of flexible. This one looks like it might be kind of too, so. Now, the thing is, I don't know if all the water came out or not. I don't know exactly how this works, but since the valve's right here, I'm thinking, and this is kind of tilted down, you know what? I need to loosen these other screws. Okay, that feels like it's going to come out. Oh, nice. It's relatively dry. I feel just a little bit of water coming out. Okay, let me pull this guy. Shoot, I don't think I have that screw loose enough. They have star washers on them, so they kind of grab. There we go. All right. I'll show you guys inside of what this thing looks like. It actually doesn't look too bad at all. Like I said, this thing's pretty new. Now, I do have these seals in here, and I bought replacements. You know how when you buy something on Amazon, it comes up and says usually bought together. It showed seals, so I'm like, okay, that's a good thing. I'll buy those. All right, I'm gonna go get a rag because I want to clean the surface of each one of these pipes so that the new seals, hopefully I got the right ones. I bought the ones that are normally bought with that heat sink or that heater, but they look a little bit different. Let's see. That's actually kind of hard to tell. They seem like they're a little bit smaller. You know what? Let's see what the heck's going on here. Oh, look at that. It came with a little piece of pipe. I guess what this thing's clamped into, and it has a seal already in it. So, man, I thought I got the wrong ones. I didn't notice these little things, but yeah. So you gotta take these off, and then you end up with the right thing on the end. Man, that had me going for a minute. All right, so this almost, I don't think I replaced these. No, because it's epoxied in here. Yeah, these little collars are epoxied into the pipes that are there. So, and the guy that I saw do this, he was from Master Spas, where this spa came from, and he did this whole thing in 8 minutes. Well, just over 8 minutes. All right, I'm gonna clean this. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So I don't know what these seals are for then, because it looks like it comes with seals, and this stuff looks like it's pretty easy to clean up. Yeah, I don't think that thing is locked super tight. I'm gonna just add some elevation of that. Yeah, that worked better with some elevation. All right, cool. Let's get this thing ready. Yeah, the threads on this thing, it's like you're looking into it to tighten it to make it go that way, and then, you know, opposite way to go this way, right? So you're looking this way, and then it's clockwise, but when you look at this end, it's clockwise to take off, because they're opposite on each side. All right, it looks like those seals are in there, so I'm gonna just go in the reverse direction. Put my sensors towards me. Might actually have to let that guy, whoa, look at that. Yeah, let me get that out of the way. All right. I don't need to dam it up, I guess. Did I say I'm not a plumber? I'm just going to snug it up and then get the other end. By the way, guys, when these washers have like a ridge around them, so I lined that pipe up so it was nice and square on that ridge, and I'll try to do the same thing here. Now that we're pinned down in 2 spots and this pipe isn't quite as flexible, maybe I should have started at this end first, right? Nope, yeah, it lines up nicely, I think. Yep. You know, I wonder what it costs to have a hot tub repair guy come out and do this. But, okay, these guys have to be tight, obviously. You don't want them to leak. But you saw how I took them off with my hands. The guy had a wrench, like a pipe wrench, but I'm thinking that plastic threads, I was hoping I could do it with my hands, which, you know, it seems like it's totally doable. Okay. I'm saving the scary guys for last. You know what? I'm going to bring the camera over and show a nice close-up of the rest of this, okay? Alright guys, zoomed right in here. You see the one sensor coming off the pipe, and see those connectors right there? I'm just going to wrap this one underneath so he's not all tangled up. And the little tab was on the bottom. Alright, I brought the other sensor just to make sure, but that was its connector and this is a new one. And the red and black are on the same side they were, so should be able to just squish that in and put it in there. Alright, so that was easy enough. I'll put this wire in once I get the other one over there. I'm gonna push it through the back the way the other one was. Okay, route it the same way. Okay, and that's in. So now I'm just going to tuck this wire back behind it. Now from there you can see the nut that I have to tighten. I'm going to put this stuff back in here. And I guess I can put these cables back in there. Okay, so I think that's all back the way it was. Yeah, you probably didn't see what I was doing, but I was just dressing this back up in here, just pushing all. This cable comes out, and I was just tucking it back up inside here. And then the panel will just close up and won't pinch anything. Everything's out of the way. I'm just trying to keep the cable from laying against the heater pipe, so I'm just bringing it up here so it sits up inside here. I don't know how hot this gets, and anyway, just going to keep the cable off of it. So this guy, all right, and then the other one is right down here below. See the other bolts right here? I'm going to go ahead and tighten that up. Okay guys, I just took the nut and this wire off one of the lugs, but you see that nut down there, and you see that ceramic. This guy here, as I turn this, that whole thing just turns inside that white ceramic piece that's supposed to seal it. This part's the one that's really corroded. And you know, the trick is here, I'll turn this so you can watch to see if it rotates. I'm sure it will. So it doesn't loosen, it just moves the whole thing. You see how it's moving the wire around? So that's how it got damaged in the first place. So I just hold the wire and then I can get this guy off. But see this one with the label? It goes on this pin, and the non-labeled wire goes on the outside one. So I got to be real careful and hold that and make sure I don't disturb or bend this and rotate it so that I don't break that ceramic element and end up with the same problem. Alright guys, this is a heater unit that came out of here, and you can see it came out, looped around, looped, and came back up the other end. Then you got a temperature sensor on either side, so maybe as the wire is flowing through, it measures the temperature on one side and then the differential temperature on the other side, I guess, is why they would have two sensors. So that's what a sensor would look like, water temperature sensor. And these are the other electrical connections that mounting this metal pipe to the chassis of the hot tub to the grounding system. Otherwise, with the rubber seals or the silicone seals or whatever they are, that are on the end of this, it would be electrically isolated. So you have to tie it, and they have 2 places to tie. So, and you can see the sensors down inside the pipe maybe. Okay guys, and when I measure the ohms across the terminals, kind of changes. The new one was like 14 ohms, nice and solid. And when I go to the chassis in between, I read some ohms. The new one was open. So you can see these, instead of white ceramic, it's like a brown ceramic. It's too bad they couldn't have used some, I don't know, I guess it's because it's a heater, you couldn't use a flexible type sealant. It has to be ceramic, something that can, that won't change with the temperature. I also want to pre-bend these because this wire is fairly heavy duty. Since it's the power, you can see the big power connector under here. So this guy's going to go up under here and then out. So he's going to go up there, and these guys are going to meet here. So I want to make sure that there's no stress on those, or tension. Maybe I'm being extra careful, but I just don't want to have to replace this again. Okay, I think I bent those at a pretty nice shape. I think that's the way it was bent. I just kind of tried to copy that. So they're kind of sitting almost square without any bolts on them. So I should be able to do most of this by hand. If you ever replaced spark plugs in your car, I always remember the steel on the spark plug is harder than the metal that you're putting them in. Well, and you don't want to strip the threads on when you put your spark plugs in, over tighten them. So the trick is to put them in by hand and then a quarter of a turn. I'm gonna go see if I can get a wrench. I brought this guy out thinking I could hold it with this, but his jaws are too big. So I'm gonna try to find a small wrench, and I think I know where I have one. Alright guys, this is kind of funny. Look at these. Here, I gotta show you this. Sears Craftsman wrench set. This thing's 30 plus years old, I believe. Or wait, hold on, I'm not that old, am I? This thing's been in my toolkit for electronics, and I never use it. But now, all these years later, I have a hot tub that needs tightening. So I'm going to hold this very careful and not try to let any tension go on it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to try to hold this and hold this wire at the same time. Okay, that's a little tricky. I'm going to have to get my finger in there. Wow, I wonder if I can do it. No, I'm a little afraid. Jeez, that's a little bit tricky. I know you guys are laughing at me here. Yeah, you know what? I think that's tight enough, guys. Okay, I know you're laughing a little bit, but hopefully I'll have hot water and a cold beverage, and I won't care. Alright, so I am in Utah, and this is what we call the Wasatch Front. And that's why I live here. Have a nice view, but there's a noisy road here, and that's what you're hearing. Okay guys, I'm going to go ahead and turn on power. I've unlocked the seals and the little irrigation ditch stopper things. I opened up those, and I took off my vice grip, and okay, I think we're ready to power it up, and you're going to get an up front closed seat at this. Okay, here it goes. Well, I heard a click. I'm going to look up top and see if the panel's on. I think that click was turning on the panel. Yep, I see the panel on. It's in what they call priming mode, so I believe it looks like it's running. And I can turn on the jets and see if we get any leaks. Okay, I kicked on both motors, and that's what the noise is. And hurrah, no leaks. I don't see any water. I'm gonna let it run for, I don't know, an hour. Well, I'm losing light, but right now it looks great. Yeah, I just kicked it on full speed and no leaks. Everything's looking good. So hopefully the breaker won't pop and everything's looking good. I'll wait until tomorrow and vacuum this thing out and clean it up. Alright guys, losing light. I'm just gonna button this part of it up and do the rest of it tomorrow. Okay? Alright, there we go. I'm gonna turn power back on again. I turned power off, by the way, obviously. Alright guys, just different video, kind of a home repair kind of thing. First time I've done a hot tub, that was pretty obvious, right? Okay, so first in troubleshooting, collect data, right? Well, I knew a breaker was popping, but what I found out was after it ran for a while, resetting the breaker, after it ran for a while, it popped the breakers right away. And I'd wait a couple days, try it again. I think I did that twice, you know, and it was repeatable. The first time I did it and the breakers kept popping, I didn't know if it was just getting damaged further or what. But after a couple days and it repeated the same pattern, seemed like a pattern thing. Then I came out here and after doing some troubleshooting and that, you know, disconnecting the heater, once it looked like the heater is a problem, I looked on the internet, did a little search, found out that was a common problem, so it seemed like okay, and it looked like it was damaged. Ordered the heater, but before doing that, disconnecting the heater, letting it run, it just run, you know, continuously without resetting. So it seemed pretty obvious it was a heater at that point. So there we go. Hey, by the way, this is a real category 3 environment. You know, two 120 volt lines come out here and each one has 50 amp breaker. So yeah, chance to use real category 3 meter, the Samprobe AM 570, pretty nice meter. And we got a chance to use that low pass filter so we could see. It was kind of noisy in the video, but you could see the voltage drop. It was around 120, and then with this it dropped a couple volts. So there's some noise, you know, there's some noise generated by these two pumps in here. So obviously you'd expect that. But yeah, that was kind of cool to see that. But alright guys, hey, hope you liked the video. Thanks to Patrons for support. Thanks for all you guys watching the videos, and we'll see you next time.